Hello, everyone. Happy July 15th. This podcast is about NXT. I am your edging closer to death every day host, Elizabeth. I'm joined by my co-host with new hair, Marcus.
Fresh new haircut. Co-host with the most. But the least
Marcus has a new
because...
haircut, and I'm sick, so.
But you're looking great.
Thanks. Put on enough concealer and the under eye circles just fade away. Actually, to kick off this, I'm taking something for my headache. I don't know if this is against the rules in any way, but I'm worried about it.
And while this is happening, I'm going to talk about my favorite types of cans. First off, you got the classic can, which is the one Liz was holding in her hand. Next off, the tall boy, very underrated. And then the medium boy, which is like the traditional seltzer can. That's it right there. And then the worst of them all, the soup can.
What about the cat food can?
The cat food can is good because it has the little tab you can pull. You don't have to use a can opener. The soup cans with the tabs, those are good too. They're all right.
You like tabs. Tabs are good for you.
I like stuff that's convenient to open. They don't need peripherals.
Okay. Okay. You have a cat. So let's jump in. We kicked off tonight with Keith Lee coming out, getting his new belt, his new belting ceremony. It was really kind of just like a celebration for him. He calls out Dominic Dijakovic. Dijakovic? Not really sure. Said his name like 14,000 times too, and I'm still saying it wrong.
Dijakovic. That's it.
Dijakovic?
Yeah.
Okay. Keith calls out Dominic Dijakovic and basically says that he wants him to be his first challenger, and Dominic's like, when would we do it? And Keith's like, well, I'm already in my sweats, so what about tonight? And of course Dominic accepts. Why wouldn't you? It was sweet because they seem to be pals. Plus Keith Lee just like has such a nice voice when he comes out there and starts talking.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasant to listen to.
Yeah.
So we got to see Alicia twice tonight. I think it was twice.
Yeah, we had her for...
Like 1.5 times.
Oh, yeah, because they started early for the women's match.
After Keith's belting ceremony, as I'm going to keep calling it from now on, we had Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes. And you know what? Thank God. Damian Priest finally got a win under his belt again.
Mm-hmm.
Not something we've seen in a couple of weeks. Damian came out hot immediately. What in God's name is in your tail? Okay. Anyways. Comes out and he's immediately just destroying Cameron Grimes.
As he should.
Of course, I don't blame him. But Cameron got his moment. He got his moment. Sorry, what is in your tail? I'm sorry. I don't want to keep disrupting this, but there's like
we love staying
something
focused.
Sticky in the cat's tail. Something sticky in her tail. Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't seem bothered by it. Anyways, I'm gonna try not to be worried about that. It'd be hard. Hi. Start again. But Cameron Grimes gets a nice little forearm in, and that was kind of where the tides turned for a little bit. He had some nasty little kicks to Damian Priest, but his real downfall at the end of the day was his hubris, if you will. He didn't quite fly to the moon, rather he flew a little too close to the sun. And as he was talking mad shit, Priest just said he was done. And I think I liked this match a lot. I like to see that, like, even though Damien still didn't look like 100%, he definitely seemed to look a lot better, first of all. And I am sick and tired of Cameron Grimes winning, like, regardless of everything.
I'm kind of sick and tired of both of them, honestly.
Really?
Maybe my mind will change when Damien goes after the titles. But I don't know. They're both still like. I mean, at least Damian Priest's haircut implies like trailer park, in my opinion. And then Cameron Grimes is very obviously trailer park trash.
Damien Priest is from New York City, Mark.
Yeah, I know, but his haircut is right from the dumpster.
Damien Priest is probably like, yeah, after Damien got a sick little kick to Cameron's head and performed his reckoning move, which more or less a spin throw into the canvas. He pins Grimes, wins, and then decides that he wants to challenge whoever wins the Keith Lee Dijakovic fight, which I think there's a queue forming now. I think he's kind of just got to write his name at the bottom of the list and wait until it's his turn. After that match, we had Timothy Thatcher's Sanctioned Murder Time.
The best time.
My favorite part of any night, really. I believe he was performing his moves tonight on a guy we like to call Baby Edge, because he looks like the Edge had baby, like not the age of his actual baby, he's like an adult baby.
I was about to say he has two babies.
My brain is working at almost 0%, so you can't tell, like, because I'm just like looking at my notes, like, what happened? But basically, the moral of today, of Timothy's class today, is that there's always a lesson to learn with every tap. And I guess the lesson to learn is that once your opponent taps, you should do your best to try to continue to tear all of their tendons from their joints. That was the point.
Let out all of your aggression after they've tapped so that you can feel really good about yourself.
If their arms aren't hanging off their body like overcooked spaghetti by the end of the match, by the time they walk out of the ring, probably haven't done enough. So
every wrestler should come out looking like Edge after the greatest match ever, with his tricep torn from his body.
Precisely. Timothy Thatcher is an amazing teacher. I've been learning so much from his classes. I really hope that we continue to get them. Maybe these can be put on like a Skillshare or something.
Masterclass.
Thatcher masterclass in actually murdering someone. After Tam Thatch, we had Patsy Blackheart versus Indy Hartwell.
Who is Indy Hartwell?
I feel like we've seen her a couple times before now. I don't feel like this is the first time we've seen her at all.
I don't remember seeing her at all.
I recognize the face. I do. I can't pin like where we've seen her last. I think she kind of has like a thing like that one girl that Mercedes fought.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Forget her name.
it's like it's weird because it's like she's not enhancement talent per se, but she's that weird in between where it's like she has a character, but we don't like she doesn't have storylines or any like push. Like,
I mean,
um,
she won, so she's definitely not enhancement talent.
yeah. Um, it's just like it's weird because it's like I don't recognize her
She might be
entirely.
she might be a new part of the roster. A lot of people are watching right now who have been watching forever and been like, how do you not know Indy Hartwell?
Sorry, guys. Doing our best. Chalk it up to me not knowing what's going on tonight. Um, so I'm gonna blame everything tonight on that. I did my makeup. I blew dry my hair. Put on some lipstick.
Blue dry?
Blew dry my hair. Didn't put earrings in today though, which is a first for this podcast. So Patsy looked pretty good tonight. It was one of her better showings for sure. Indy Hartwell. Can't say the same.
Yeah.
Can't say the same at all.
I mean, she definitely doesn't have the tenure of Shotzi at the very least. So she doesn't have like the same experience, but her reactions were awful. Her moves were also not great.
Yeah, there was a lot of moves in this one where it was like I couldn't even tell whose move it was. Sort of like I didn't know who was supposed to be the executor and the executed. But Shotzi, the first half for Shotzi didn't look great. There was just like a lot of like kind of confusing like punches that didn't really look like they landed anywhere near the person's face. Kicks that didn't really look like they could have possibly hurt. um, towards the second half, you definitely got to see a lot more of Shotzi in like ways that like kind of like looked intense. She had a couple of cannonballs, I believe, into Shotzi's back. Am I wrong on that? Or not Shotzi's, sorry, Indy's back. Yes. You went ass first into Shotzi's
To Indy's. You're good. You're good.
Indy's back.
Just keep going. Just say whatever the brain tells you to say.
Okay. We're talking about like people from SmackDown. Then Robert Stone comes out. This is like Shotzi's starting to kind of get up there. She's starting to look good. Robert Stone comes out, walking like a fool, because he's mad that Shotzi ran over his ankle. And somehow, I guess, Aaliyah also comes out. We don't actually see her walk out, though, so I don't know where she came from. But we to see a really awesome DDT from Shotzi to Indy, and when Shotzi goes up to the top rope, Aaliyah comes out of nowhere and grabs her by the leggies so that she falls face first into the canvas. And Indy manages to take advantage of this and pins Shotzi to win, letting Aaliyah and Robert Stone feel vindicated, I guess, in some way. I mean, we got to see Robert Stone, which is cool.
I like the story. I like giving Shotzi a little writing. I like sort of Aaliyah being mischievous with Robert, and sort of doing so to make him feel better. And I like Robert Stone just in general because he's a perfect mesh of comedy and like asshole manager. He's like if Zelina was like really funny.
Also, we're getting to see more of like Aaliyah as a complex person, kind of, because like for a while she was just kind of like this like simpering little
Mm-hmm.
person next to Robert, and now like she's like kind of executing plans with him and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and
kind of
it's like well motivated too, because like at first she was just trying to help a buddy out, like just trying to cheer him up, had him like encouraged him to get in the ring and everything, um, and now she's like even better pals with him and trying really hard to progress the brand, sort of as the only one in the brand who can go in the ring.
mm, yeah. I hope we see more of this, and I believe we will see more of this, and I'll talk about why we'll see more of this.
Because Robert Stone signs Cameron Grimes. I mean, it's close.
I believe this is as good time as any to quickly mention the Oni Lorcan tweet
What was the only
about
Lorcan
Robert
tweet?
Stone.
Oh,
He,
I want to find the exact tweet.
okay, you look up the exact tweet. I'm just gonna walk through our next promo after this while I get a cat hair off my mouth. Wow, we're really doing great tonight.
I just
Great.
found the tweet.
Perfect.
It in all caps. Just walked by Robert Stone and he was drinking water out of the pond like a cat and wouldn't look me in the eye. Oh God. What does that mean? Also, why is Oni Lorcan not verified on Twitter?
Oh, really?
Yeah. 77,000 followers and not
Sleeping on
verified.
Oni Lorcan is specifically asked to not be verified.
Yeah.
I love that he tweets in all caps too, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just him constantly yelling. And you know what? Same vibe.
It's perfect for Timothy Thatcher.
Maybe one day they'll be best buds again. Not today, but maybe one day. So then we had a promo with Tegan Knox backstage. Tegan Knox saying that tonight's her night. She's worked so hard to get here. And we had a very cinematic promo. Or what is their stable name again? How do I say it?
Legado del Fantasma.
Okay, so for Legado del Fantasma.
You could just say Legado. That's what they say.
Okay. With Santos Escobar, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde sitting in a nice little circle, having a drink, toasting to their victory against Drake Maverick. They call Drake a little chihuahua. And talk about how they're mad at Breezango for making fun of Lucha Libre, which, to be fair, kind of don't blame him. That was one of those things where I was like, we might be telling a line here, boys.
I do have a little problem with this promo here.
Do you? Okay, I thought you would like this a lot. Seemed like it was right up your alley.
Not really, because you're framing up this all Hispanic stable as like a gang from like a movie about like drug dealers. It very much
I guess that's fair.
I very much expected them to just pull cocaine out of nowhere.
Oh God, imagine. It's just like, I don't care anymore.
But I mean, it was a well done promo. I just think they kind of need to tone down that aesthetic a little bit.
Fair. I liked it because I think the thing that I liked the most about it was that it was like incredibly cohesive, and you don't get incredibly cohesive promos very often.
Mm-hmm.
It's not since like the Miz and John Morrison antagonizing on. It's probably like the most cohesive promo we've seen in a minute.
True. I had another problem with this promo, actually, and that the whole thing just seemed like Santos telling the camera, or like just going one by one and be like, Mendoza, Raul Mendoza, you are so and so and so. You did this, this, and this. Joaquin Wilde, you are so, so, so. You did this, this, and this. It very much was just exposition done in like a very blatant way.
Fair enough. I'll take it. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it, actually.
Understandable.
Anyway. Um, this cat hair is just stuck to my lips and it's driving me insane. Like, watch the fall of man here. So after that promo, we had one of my favorite fights, I think, tonight, which is Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic. Oh my god. I felt like I was watching two best friends just having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
A good time that ended in Dominic maybe being dead.
Mm-hmm.
A good time nonetheless.
Yeah, and like, it wasn't even Keith Lee at his best, but Dijakovic, like, his little moments of that showed off like their friendship and showed off that they're kind of just fooling around a little bit. Pretty much made the fight as great as it is. Just because it wasn't even a super impressive fight. It was just the vibe that these guys are just sort of reunited and having a good time. That was forefront here. Oh boy.
Just
Absolute
that rectangle.
stinker. Little rat.
Sorry. I turned around and I just saw that. She didn't even bother getting under the bed this time. Yeah, I think in spite of the fact that, like, yeah, it wasn't like the most impressive fight in the world or anything, I think the fact that, like, it just seemed like they were, like, having fun. You could hear them talking to each other, like, goofing around. It made it feel so much more like, oh, at least there's, like, something else to this.
Mm-hmm.
You know? The first part of, like, I think the first, like, 5 or 10 minutes of this fight, it felt like, was really just them pacing and then kind of, like, a test of strength for both of them to see who would, like, get pushed down first. And I mean, Dominic, I really didn't think stood a chance whatsoever. There were a couple moments where he picked up Keith Lee on his, like, shoulders, and I was like, but he used his quickness to his advantage. Keith had two back-to-back attempts to body slam Dominic, and Dominic just kind of kept rolling out of the way. I think the fact that we kind of grown in this business together to see each other on this stage now is exciting. Plus, I mean, I'm gonna at one point, not far, he got him up and threw him down.
Yeah,
that's saying something about him.
Yeah, but I feel like whoever's gonna take the title from Keith is gonna be the one to, like, easily pick him up. Whether it's somebody a little smaller or the same size as him, whoever's gonna do it is gonna pick him up. Like not like Dijakovic did today, but like in a massive way.
Oh, who do you think that would be?
Karrion Kross.
Okay.
Tommaso, maybe. I know.
Thoughts and prayers. For anyone who doesn't know, also Ciampa is not so happy with his current state in the in NXT.
Yeah.
He's not happy with his storylines. He's not happy with how he's kind of been used. And I mean, he said that he's going to keep going and keep working, but I feel bad for him because the last few times that we've seen him fight, it was like last fight he had was against Carrion, and that was like a 5-second fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sidebar. It's a sidebar, but I do feel bad for him. I really hope that we see him soon doing something of value. So Keith crosses Dom like he's a little balled up piece of paper and throws him into the canvas, does it again, gets the pin, and of course, who comes out? Scarlett, while Dom stands off to the side of the ring, minding his own business. Scarlett comes out with a lovely little sash, a little satchel bag. Yeah. Called a sash. I don't know. Anyways, and great. And then she dumps it out, and it's the broken hourglass that Mr. Lee smashed. And it's pretty obvious carrying crosses. Working his way up there. He didn't seem too worried, though. I don't think he seemed very concerned about that at all. I also don't think Triple H is going to have him give up that title anytime soon. Triple H loves Keith Lee.
Yeah. Especially to Carrion. I don't think Carrion's gonna get it at all. Maybe the only one I could really see getting it is like either Finn or Tommaso.
He doesn't get a goddamn title sometime soon. I'm gonna lose it. That's not even my bias speaking. I just feel so bad for him sometimes because, like, what does he do?
It's like he doesn't get a title until he gets the face paint back on.
He was so big in Japan, and like then he came back over here and is starting to like kind of filter off. So I don't know what they're gonna do with him. It's another person, but it's not what this podcast is about tonight. He did say that he wants the title, but they also had a whole amalgamation of people saying that they want the title, so it doesn't speak to me in any way.
Everyone wants a title.
Yeah. And after that, we had Dominik Dijakovic backstage talking to one of the reporter ladies for NXT, basically saying like, "Oh, Keith's on like another level." And then out of nowhere, it's Karrion Kross. Instead of RKO out of nowhere, it's Karrion Kross out of nowhere. Dominic's like, "Hey, what do you want?" Mind you, my head has been pounding for the last 4 hours. Karrion speaking English, or was I having a stroke?
I think he was speaking English. I couldn't tell either. I think he might have an accent. And I don't know.
I thought he was American.
It might be.
Imagine if he was speaking Latin or something like crazy like that.
And then Dijakovic just knew what he was saying.
Imagine. Oh my god. He was born in New York.
So he should have an accent.
So it should be an accent we understand. Whatever. Anyways. Yeah, I couldn't tell if maybe it was like bad audio or if I was losing my mind. But he spoke to Dominik, said something. My brain didn't catch a single lick of it. Dominik attacks him, and then Karrion sort of like kills him. And also struggles to get his tie off and walks away.
Knocks over the barrier.
Yeah. Dominic had a good run. I'm kind of excited for this. I'm excited to see that they're not just going to be like, Carrion's challenging Keith for the title, next week.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of building it up. But also, in building it up, now Dominic has another match. So it feels like they're trying to bring him back in. I'm happy about it. I'm not saying I'm not happy. After that, we got a lovely little Wednesday surprise with Tam Thatchy Thatch versus Denzel
Dejournet.
That's definitely French. I should know how to say that.
Dejournet.
It's lunch. Denzel's like definitely enhancement talent. It was pretty obvious from the get-go. But that didn't stop me. There was a lot of grappling, and I love watching that. So it was impressive to me. Dejournet is a Greco-Roman specialist. He's more of the throwing type. Like if they were Pokemon, he would be a throwing type, and Tim would be a broken ligament type.
Yeah. So I get you have like a headache and everything.
Doing great. There wasn't much of a competition. Got his little arms all around, headlocks. Denzel got a couple. He got a couple minutes in there. It's something.
Put it on the reel.
Then he gets his leg pulled all the way back by Tim Thatcher and pops out almost instantly. So I was like, could you just pretend for like 5 more seconds, maybe? I don't know. You like make yourself look big and strong. Taps the referee raises his hand. I was like, oh, are we not going to teach him another lesson today? And then Timothy Thatcher said, got you. Goes back in there. Pulls the leg back again. I was like, and Tony Lorcan just comes charging in to defend this man, Mr. Denzel, and just like launches Timothy Thatcher across the ring purely by like a shoulder impact. And Timothy Thatcher leaves the ring looking like a man possessed. And frankly, if a man ever looked at me like that, I'd probably just do him the service of killing myself right then and there, opposed to letting him do it for me.
That's a cool storyline WWE could do. Somebody possessed.
Is that not like what Bray Wyatt is, though?
Not really. He's more of just like a cult leader. More like convinces people. It would be cool if we get, speaking of Bray Wyatt, John Cena comes back and he's possessed by Bray Wyatt after being in the Firefly Funhouse.
I really wonder how they're going to tie that all together.
Well, it's SmackDown, so they probably won't.
You're right. They're just going to be like, John Cena's best friends with, I don't know, who's left here? John Morrison.
John Cena's retired. He's gone.
Just they just show 2 wrist sweatbands like floating in the swamp as they're fighting on Sunday.
No, he's just on Raw now. No explanation. He's just a part of Raw.
The Firefly Funhouse. It goes deeper.
Oh God, that means Randy Orton's in the Firefly Funhouse.
It'd work with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's SmackDown and Raw, I guess.
Yeah, that's literally not the brand we're talking about at all. Yeah, T. Thatcher goes backstage looking all mean. Then we have Robert Stone talking to the camera, telling the camera to keep recording in case anything bad happens to him. Of course, he runs into Killian Dane, which is like the only bad thing that could happen to him at this point. He profusely apologizes for the coffee incident that happened last week when he threw coffee at Killian without realizing it. And Aaliyah interrupts with a lovely little illustration in her hand. The one and only portrait artist, my favorite boy,
Salvador Dali.
Dexter Lumis. Oh, yes. Yes.
Salvador's back from the dead.
He's wrestling now. What made me laugh is that, like, it's not the first time that Dexter's drawn Robert Stone. If you look on his Instagram, he's done it a couple times now.
Oh, yeah. He also drew Seth Rollins.
Yeah. He's drawn a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really sweet that they were able to incorporate that into his character. And Killian says, basically, Robert, that if Robert doesn't want Killian to essentially dismember him, wants to have a fight with Dexter. And would you believe it or not, they announced that Killian Dane and Dexter Lumis have a match this week. As do Karrion Kross and Dominic Dijakovic, which means that Dominic is not dead. And then, finally, last but not least, Tegan Nox versus Io Shirai. I got fooled again. I got fooled like I did at Raw. I thought that something was going to happen here tonight.
Oh no. Oh no. They're not going to have Io lose her first title defense.
It wasn't her first title defense, was it?
Yeah, it is.
Basically, Tegan and Io are in the middle of the ring. Alicia's announcing them. Tegan goes to shake Io's hand, and she slaps it away. And Alicia says, "I'm out," and ducks out of the ring, and the fight starts. There's also quite a bit of grappling in this one, too, in this fight.
Yeah.
Also a little different.
I really liked how methodical this match was. It was like, because you had moments where they were kind of sizing each other up, trying to like find the right points to grab them or like twist their arm, and then suddenly it exploded into like I can't remember the wrestling moves, but it exploded into like a bunch of throws, suplexes, stuff like that. So it was very careful with its pacing.
Yeah. And Io definitely seemed to have the upper hand for most of it up until she got knee first into the stairs. Or knees first, if you will. And Tegan kind of got a leg up with that. Pun intended. Io is, I mean, she's so much quicker than Tegan.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple moments where it definitely looked like Tegan had it. I mean, we were in like the last minute. But Io Shirai just moonsaulted right into her and called it a day.
Yeah. Tegan had a lot of really good moves. She's not the best, but I really want to see a world where she can just perfect her style and either get the title or be like an actual top contender for the title. Because she's just so close to being really good. She just needs to like pick up her pace a little bit.
Yeah, and I get so frustrated, it seems.
Yeah. She does really well with like the reactions and everything. Like, it's very rare to find a wrestler who's really good with like their post kick out reactions, but Tegan does them really well. And I mean, that's not her fighting technique, but like it's still really nice of a wrestler to see. What are you doing?
up.
Oh, okay. Um, but she's still like not on the level of like Rhea Ripley, as we saw Io Shirai, or even like, even though she's technically not NXT anymore, Charlotte Flair, but she's very close. She is very, very close.
Yeah. I definitely think that there's a good chance that we live in a world where we will see Tegan Nox holding a title sometime soon.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't even be shocked if we end up seeing Tegan Nox going up to the main roster at some point in the near enough future, because they're kind of hurting for non-tag team women, and while they aren't hurting for SmackDown isn't really hurting for non-tag team women, but like it feels like
I don't
either.
know. They need better karaoke singers.
God, please, I've got such a bad stomach ache. I can't even begin to talk about this tonight. Wedding. But it seems like we're in a position now where SmackDown is all tag team women, and then they're just wasting their singles women. Raw is kind of more focused on tag teams, taking their singles women and putting them into tag teams. I wouldn't be shocked if, I mean, in light of Becky Lynch leaving or having a baby, I wouldn't be shocked if they also bring girls up from NXT.
Yeah.
I know that they're not doing a draft this year, I don't think, because of COVID. And I know Shayna Baszler's back, but we could also, I wouldn't be blown away if that happened.
I mean, if anyone goes, I could mostly just see Mia Yim being, promoted. Because she's not really doing anything now. I mean, she had the rivalry with Candice that kind of ended at Great American Bash. She's not really doing anything with Keith right now. I mean, the only thing they could really have her do is do stuff with Swerve. But we didn't see any of that today.
So might see her doing something next week, because there's no women's matches announced for next week at this point.
Yeah.
When you consider the fact that I didn't see any women tonight except for Io and Tegan, right?
No, we saw Shotzi and
match.
Indy. Oh. They did also tease a couple stuff. Of course, they teased Dakota challenging Io or something.
Huh? I knew I was going to do this. The moment I didn't take a note on how this match ended, I knew I was going to forget to say this.
Oh yeah, for those who didn't see, Dakota, after Io got out of the ring and went up to the ramp to walk out, Dakota came in and kicked her in the face or something.
Yeah. I guess that's something that we might see.
They also teased Rhea Ripley challenging Io, because they just showed like the tweet that she made.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, because like we haven't seen any this week, we didn't see any women that we've been like seeing a lot of, like Candice we didn't see Mia, we didn't see Casey or Kaden, or I mean we saw Dakota, but like for 5 seconds.
Candice, we probably won't see for a while. She's probably like in the hospital right now after
Mia Yim took a harder fall, remember? Landed on her back on the chairs.
True. So they're both in the hospital.
Also, I think this is a good time, since we have reached the end of the program, that post-showing, discuss the fact that we still had stupid limited commercials.
Yeah, we did. It was weird. Like sometimes we had limited commercials, sometimes we had regular commercials, which kind of makes me think that and it's really smart. What I think they're doing is they're using the regular commercials to cut out portions of the fight to make them fit the allotted times. because sometimes fights might go a little longer. You can't really guarantee a fight's gonna be the exact time that they need, so they probably use commercials as a way to cut it down. But I don't like these limited commercials. They're annoying.
It's so hard to focus.
Yeah.
Anyways, want to go into your promo of the night?
Promo of the night. We might disagree. I've got a strong feeling already. So first we had Keith Lee talking in the ring with Dijakovic coming out. That was a nice moment. You had the Timothy Thatcher School of Wrestling. Same as every other one. You had the Tegan Knox interview, which is just a regular interview. The Legado del Fantasma promo, which I already gave my thoughts on that. The Dijakovic interview featuring Karrion Kross. That was fun because we got to see a little bit of a fight in it. And then the Robert Stone and Killian promo featuring Aaliyah. That one might be my favorite. I think that's my pick because we got a little advancement in the Robert Stone brand story, as well as a little bit more of Killian Dane, and a little tease for Dexter Lumis. A little bit of everything. Robert Stone's always a pleasure to watch in a promo.
I really liked the Legato promo.
I knew you would think that. I knew.
I'm torn because I also like seeing any hint of Dexter Lumis, and more so I like seeing Dexter Lumis and Robert Stone combined. Because I know that they're pals.
It's really weird to think that they're pals.
Also, Dexter Lumis, the man outside of work, is also kind of weird.
He's really into Bloody Marys. Like
He's a strange bird. I didn't know that like wrestlers could drink as much as it looks like he does, and I'm one way or the other. He smokes cigars. So he's so cool. Stand him. But I think I'll go with the Robert Stone one. I think that one gave me a lot of what I wanted to see, and I can't tell if I liked the Legato one because it was so cinematic, or if like I actually liked it. So I feel like because I'm partial to Robert Stone, and Dexter Lumis, Killian Dane for that matter, I'd choose that.
Very fair. Very fair.
So, your fighter of the night.
Fighter, okay. So, started off Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes. Good fight. Good way to start the night. Cameron Grimes, I'm always torn on. He never really blows me away, but he's not a bad wrestler. Damian Priest, before this, had been very unimpressive. Very, very lackluster in his form. But today he was great. This might be the best Killian Dane that we saw since TakeOver. Not much to say on that, but definitely better than what we've seen. Then you had Shotzi versus Indy Hartwell. I mean, Shotzi was the really good performer here. She landed some really sick moves. And I constantly underestimate Shotzi. Every fight that she's in, I start off like, great, we have to see Shotzi, but then the fight actually starts, and I'm like, oh wow, I actually really like Shotzi. Every single time. It happened the last fight she was in, she was with Tegan Knox and it was against Sasha and Bayley. So she's definitely my pick for that fight. I mean, she was no competition there because she was against Indy, who kind of sucked today. And then you had Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. And the only pick here is Keith Lee. I mean, yeah, you had Dijakovic giving off some really great character vibes, especially when he lifted Keith Lee, and that was kind of like a big moment for him. Keith Lee is the real, like, amazing performer here. His strength just shows with every move he does, and his signatures are signatures. Like, no one really does them like Keith Lee does. And when we were watching Keith Lee today, we were watching a champion. Like, we weren't only watching the character as the champion, we were watching Keith Lee, the performer, as the best performer in the ring. All of his moves are incredible. His emotions and his passion are just outstanding when he's wrestling. I love when he does a move, walks away, and just screams at the top of his lungs. Like, his face is just, it's so passionate and amazing. But not to discredit Dijakovic, he did extremely well today, and I really can't wait to see him versus Karrion, because that is going to be, I'm calling it now, that's going to be the fight of the night for next week. It's got great competition because there's also Dexter Lumis, but moving on.
Bold prediction when Dexter Lumis is involved, because you know what I'm going to choose already.
I know. Then you had Thatcher versus Desjardins, which, who am I going to pick besides Timothy Thatcher? I mean, come on. Although Desjardins did put up a fight, there's no contest. Timothy Thatcher was the pick for that match. But there wasn't enough in that fight to have him be the fighter of the night tonight when you had two really amazing fights. And then lastly, Tegan Knox versus Io Shirai. These two were really close. Tegan impresses me more and more every day. I wasn't super impressed with her during the women's four-way, but today she outperformed herself. But Io was even better. Io is an incredible performer. She lives up to her name, the Genius of the Sky. Her moonsaults are incredible. Her emotion inside the ring is outstanding. The two of them, they're just so close to each other. But I'm really torn between Io and Keith for the overall pick tonight. I have a feeling you're going to pick Tegan Knox. I have a feeling that face told me no, actually. But it's tough. It's really tough. I'm going to pick Io because although Keith had the same amount of passion and everything, he was basically just going through the ropes with Dijakovic. He is giving us the same thing last week, but to a lesser degree. Io, we saw a side of Io that we didn't see at TakeOver. This was a more methodical Io that was able to take her time and focus. Like, have you seen the movie Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr.?
No.
Well, there's a moment in the movie where he sees fights in slow motion and analyzes every moment, right places to punch and everything. I feel like that same precision was what we saw out of Io today. Although we didn't see, I want to see better from her because I know she can do better. I think we saw more from her than we did from Keith. I know you're thinking I'm being very bold right now, but that's my honest opinion.
Ah. So yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I have to pick Keith. Um, I feel like I saw a Keith that didn't miss a single beat whatsoever. Um, he he was ready for anything Dijakovic really threw at him, only getting caught up once or twice. Whereas there were a couple moments during the Tegan Nox Io Shirai fight where hits didn't like land quite right. There was one point where like Io had Tegan's legs like splayed out over the top rope. She just went in with her knees in between them. I don't know what she was trying to do there at all. It didn't make any sense to me. Or actually, I think she drop kicked somewhere in between them. And it just
Yeah, that's her thing. She does
didn't really.
those. She does like the kind of the Bailey or Sasha drop kick in the corner, where she like spreads them out on the
No,
ropes.
no, she didn't do that at all today. What she did was Tegan was sitting on the top buckle, her legs over the ropes, over the top rope. And Io went, if these are Tegan's legs, Io drop kicked right here. Didn't mean to go up, like right here. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand that at all. It made no sense to me. There were just a couple like, and there's like these like not great, not well sold punches, not well sold slaps. That unfortunately is what we get a lot during women's wrestling matches. Um, that's not to say that she didn't do well or that she wasn't one of the best tonight. It didn't really do it for me. And for just because like when you said like basically got like a lesser version of Keith Lee from last week, Io Shirai did a lot of the same moves and in fact used the same exact finisher that she used for when she got the title at Takeover.
Well, I mean, you can't judge when somebody uses the same finisher because it's their finisher. It's like their signature. It's what everyone finish. I mean, Keith used the same finisher he did on Adam Cole.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it's like a lot of this match was really similar to that too. And I don't know, it just didn't do it for me in quite the same way that the fight with Keith and Dominic did that for me. And Keith's attitude and Keith's demeanor for the whole fight was like a sort of complex version of like respect. But also like I'm going to kill you. Just get ready, even though you're my friend, I'm still gonna take you down. I like being able to see that kind of emotion in the ring because we don't really see that sort of complexity that often. 9 times out of 10, it's just like you're my opponent and I want to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing Keith.
You see, you have me torn. You're right about Keith. I don't think you're right about Io, because I think you're also judging her based on what Tegan also did. But you make a lot of good points about Keith. And if this is the Keith, if this is a lesser Keith than last week, and he's still like great, then that just says even more about Keith. So, God. I All right. All right. All right. Keith. Keith Lee is our fighter of the night.
My AP US history teacher said I should go into being a lawyer. Boy, did he not know what he meant.
A wrestling lawyer.
Only for opinions, though.
Yeah.
Not for like botched matches or anything. Right, so finally, fight of the night, and I think I already made what mine is pretty clear.
Yeah, you made it clear that it's Timothy Thatcher versus Dejournette.
Almost always.
Dejournette.
Almost always.
Yeah.
I worry about not choosing Timothy sometimes. I worry that I will have my arm ripped off of my shoulder at some point in the future.
50th try in the chat says, "Is this drama?" We're picking our best of the night for NXT tonight. We just picked our fighter of the night, and now we're picking our fight of the night.
There is always drama.
Yeah, almost constantly. Mostly from the cat.
Yeah, she's a drama queen.
But fight of the night. So we start off with Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes, which, like I said, it was a really great way to start off the night. Great fight overall. Best we've seen of Damian Priest recently. Maybe best we've seen of Cameron Grimes recently too. But we didn't get to see a lot of his signature moves that we normally see. I think something that involves like walking on his opponent's back or something. I'm not good with remembering specific moves, but we didn't see the best Cameron Grimes that we could have, and kind of didn't lead anywhere. It led to Damian Priest wanting to challenge Keith Lee.
It was the ending of a story.
Really. It was, but if it was the ending of a story, it didn't feel as dramatic as it could have been.
Okay.
What is NXT? NXT is a wrestling brand for WWE.
It's like their amateur kind of like almost like an academy in a weird way, I guess. It's where their farm team like they have in baseball. They bring people up from there.
Yeah. Next is what it's short for. Well, after that we had Shotzi versus Indy Hartwell. Indy sucked. Gotta be honest. Sorry, Indy. And Shotzi was good, as I said, but you need two to tango. And if one person's not there, nobody is. Then you had Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. This was a great fight. This was a perfect blend of character and wrestling. Dijakovic. This was, I think, our first time seeing Dijakovic, and
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but they mentioned him having been involved in something in the past few weeks, and I don't think that we we were thinking of him as anything other than just like, oh, here's a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if this is our first viewing of him, then my God, I am really excited to see more of him. Like I already said, against Karrion Kross next week. Thank you, 50th try, for the follow.
Hey, thank you.
But yeah, this fight was wonderful. Because we got to see Keith kind of messing around a little bit, but also having that same champion energy. And it was just a beautiful display of wrestling. Then after that, Thatcher versus Dejournette, which was the Timothy Thatcher School for Wrestling Part 2.
Oh, that's Timothy Thatcher unsanctioned murder time.
Okay, so this is sanctioned murder time?
So sanctioned murder time is the class. Unsanctioned is the fight.
Okay. So when you
He's not
actually
actually
murder
allowed to
somebody.
murder them, but yeah.
Okay. And then you had Tegan versus Io, which I thought this was an amazing fight. I know there are flaws to it. I know we could have seen both wrestlers better. Um, but it, I am torn on how this fight was overall because you had the fatal four way going into this, and you're supposed to see Tegan as like this amazing wrestler that won the fatal four way and is now facing the champion, but it never felt like she was as amazing as she was supposed to be. And Io's I'm still not super convinced on Io. I know I was just talking her up as the fighter of the night. But as far as like the overall story goes, I don't think that she is the champion of women's NXT right now. I think Rhea Ripley at any point can take that title. But I guess we'll see when they fight next. But I mean, overall, it was a good fight, fun to watch. It doesn't leave much to the future as far as Tegan's story goes. I did like the ending where Dakota came in and beat down Io, but that doesn't come near Scarlett entering. If you're comparing post-fight entrances, Scarlett definitely has it. So, I mean, one fight is superior in every way here, and that's Timothy Thatcher versus Dejanette. No, it's obviously Keith Lee versus Dijakovic. I mean,
There's our second ending.
The chemistry between the two is out of this world. You saw it so many times in the ring. It's a chemistry that Io and Tegan really didn't have, that was missing, and I think it would have thrown a patch on any wrestling flaws that they had if they had that extra level of chemistry.
Yeah, it seemed a lot like with the Tegan and Io fight, it was more like Io had the passion. Io definitely like looked like she was ready to just absolutely dismantle Tegan. Between her movements and also her speaking to Tegan in the ring. But Tegan just kind of like the only real reaction we ever got from her was like stirred or determined. It was never about. Whereas Keith and Dominic, we got only an amazing fight. But also, we got that level of like respect, like what we liked the most, like what we liked so much about the Drew Gulak Daniel Bryan fight, where it was like it's two friends who have known each other for a while, two friends who have fought against each other a lot and have trained with each other and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now being kind of pit against each other, and I'm glad that we got to see that because it was like this weird. It almost like felt like two brothers in a way.
Yeah.
They were kind of like goofing around, like they're not goofing around, but just like laughing with each other and like talking the whole time, which is also not something we have seen happen ever. It's rare that like you see like two guys like just kind of being like friendly, like egging each other on.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that. I felt like it was a really well done fight. It was an amazing fight for Keith. It was an amazing re-entrance for Dominic. Got me excited to see Dominic. It built up a new, like a next chapter in Dominic's story and also a next chapter in Keith's story.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better fight tonight.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, the Io versus Tegan fight was, as I said, it was missing that chemistry. But it seemed like they had just met for the first time tonight. There was
Mhm.
no animosity between them. There was also no mutual respect in any way, like there was between Keith and Adam.
Yeah.
And because you look at other championship fights, like you look at, say, Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, there is a level of respect. It's very small. It's there, but you also have Charlotte, who has an animosity towards any woman she's wrestling in the ring,
Mhm.
especially Asuka. Same with Asuka versus Nia Jax. These are really the only examples I can come up with right now, but that it's definitely something. The extra kick was what was missing in that last fight, and it would have made it probably the best fight tonight if there was.
I could see that.
But to recap, we have our promo of the night: Robert Stone and Aaliyah encounter Killian Dane. Our fighter of the night: Keith Lee. And the fight of the night: Timothy Thatcher versus Desjardins. Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, we have something sort of to look forward to. Friday we are going to be back for SmackDown. That's not what to look forward to because it's SmackDown and God help us.
God.
However, we will be finally making our predictions Friday night too for the Sunday pay-per-view for Extreme Rules.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make up some rules for ourselves going into Extreme Rules for the pay-per-view. Make it fun and not as messy as Backlash, which that recording has died in a fire. Thank God. Yeah. Friday.
Yes. Yeah, I had nothing to add to that. I don't know why I acted like it. And hopefully there'll be another match announced for Extreme Rules. Right now we've got 7. I'm hoping we get an 8th thrown in there.
Yeah. Hopefully Apollo Crews isn't in the game show.
I don't think he will be. I don't think so. They're not going to stick MVP in the
So-
pre-show.
All right.
Follow us if you enjoyed on this Twitch. You can be notified every single time we go live, starting Friday. And it also lets us know that we're doing a good job. And also we have a suggestion box down below that you can type out any feedback or any suggestions that you would like to see in the future. We want to see it, and we want you to voice your opinions, as long as they're constructive in some kind of way. Also follow the podcast Twitter at the Pinfall Cast, no pod, at the Pinfall Cast on Twitter. There you can hear again whenever we go live, and also if you miss the show, we will let you know what our fight of the night and our fighter of the night is on there. And you can also see our opinions on various wrestling news and stuff like that. And
If you missed the show, is there somewhere that you can watch it?
no.
Okay.
Yes, there is actually our YouTube, the Pinfall Podcast on YouTube. We put almost all of our videos up there, archived. We have missed a few because sometimes Streamlabs sucks and doesn't let me record as we're streaming. So, this will go up on there as well, starting tomorrow. It's always the day after. And follow our personal Twitters. I'm having a little trouble right now. I am at the Mark Cameron, MARC Cameron. Sorry, I'm having like a mild stroke right now.
Okay, cool. So I'm dying and you're having a stroke.
Yeah.
This might be the last podcast.
Follow Liz on Twitter as well at Eliza Elaine 23, and follow my Twitch. We're doing something really awesome there. We're combining wrestling with Pokemon into a really cool experiment that's never before seen. We have our first rivalry coming up Friday, so don't miss it. That is twitch.tv/Mark Cameron, MARC Cameron. And also the opponent for Friday, twitch.tv/WeebyVillain, WeebyVillain, is going to be the other stream for that.
You're having such a good night.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you on Friday.